Okay. Hello, this is Mary with Boomers Blooming. Hope all is well where you are. Hope you're having a nice day. I'm having an exceptional day because my daughter came by to visit me this morning.
Hi, y'all.
So I'm having an exceptional day. And, you know, I put out a stovetop brown rice pudding on one of my videos. And so I had some left, and that's really what she's eating.
I love it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And so we're just sitting here and we're having tea. Because as I put in one of my videos too, when I was in Charleston, South Carolina, I bought some tea from down there at the tea plantation. So we're sitting here having tea time. We're having tea time. And I'm having tea time with my favorite person.
Kudos.
And so we're just sitting here. This is Sunday morning here where I am. And it's cloudy and rainy looking and kind of overcast day. I don't want to say a dreary day because all days to me are beautiful. It's a day that God has given us. And so I'm not going to say, oh, this day is just terrible. No, it's not terrible. It's just overcast. Sunshine, I don't think coming out today. But it's a beautiful day because we are alive to enjoy even the rain and the cold. Okay? So, we're just sitting here having tea time. And I was just, you know, my daughter is much, of course, she's much younger than me. You know that.
Not by a long shot. Not by a long
Don't
shot.
believe what she's saying. And she really keeps me up to date a lot of times on the young folk stuff, you know, because like I say, I'm a senior, I live alone, and I don't run in the circles that I used to of the younger folk. And so she tells me a lot of things. She shares a lot of things with me that's going on out there in the world, you know. And I'm like, oh, wow.
That is true.
So,
That's true.
Listen, friends, I know that I talk a lot. I have been told that I can talk to a rock and it will respond. I have been told that I can talk to a tree and it will bow down. Or, let me rephrase that, it will speak back. So, I talk a lot in my videos, and you all know that. So I'm going to give my daughter an opportunity to talk about some of the things that are on her mind, to talk about some of the things maybe that she experiences as a young person, and just whatever she want to talk about. You know, just like me. I don't rehearse. I don't edit. What you see is what you get. So, do you mind if I call you by name?
No, that's fine, Mama.
This is Ashley.
Hi, everybody. How are y'all doing today? So, as we said earlier, I am sitting here eating one of my favorite recipes from my mom. I was actually just talking to two friends of mine yesterday about her rice pudding and her fried grits. And they said, we don't know what fried grits are. I said, well, y'all are not from the South either. So I had to school them and I said, hey, y'all go check my mom's YouTube out for her fried grits. I said, so y'all can see what you need to do and see what you're missing in your life. So about the rice pudding, you know, you always have those moments where you want your mother's home cooked meals, or you just have that childhood taste in your mouth. You're like, oh, I wish I could just have that. Well, I have been wanting rice pudding for so long. I will go home and I will make rice and put a little sugar on it, and it'll have the slightest effect of my mom's rice pudding, but it's not hers. So for her to have said that, oh, I made some rice pudding, I'm like, well, can I have the rest, please? So I had the rest, and as you see, it's about to be gone because I am going to eat it. I don't care who's watching. I'm going to eat it cold, warm, it doesn't matter. it's still good. So what we're going to talk about today is, you ready to see what we're going to talk about?
Yeah,
Are you really ready?
I'm ready. Let's go on down the road with it.
Okay, so this is a tedious, maybe a little tedious conversation, but like my mama said, we're real, and what you hear is what you get, right?
And who we are is what you see.
We can't help that. We're just real. We're natural, and we're real with it.
That's right.
However, I did want to talk with my mom, and I said I was going to think about it, but I wanted my mom to talk about the adoption.
Oh.
I wanted to dig a little deep because, and I've shared with y'all, adoption sits on my heart in a different way than most people. And I say that because it's always two sides. You have the positive and you have the negative. Mm-hmm. And in my case, I have two positives. And I'm going to let my mom kind of share with you all the adoption phase and how she received her blessing in me.
Yes.
A lot of people, don't speak on it. It took me a while to kind of speak on it. But it's something that really has been on my heart to kind of share with the world. That it's okay to say, hey, I don't know about my history, or, it's okay. So I'm going to let my mom, share a little bit, and then I'm going to tap right in with her.
Okay, sweetheart. As Ashley, my daughter, said, she's adopted. I also have an adopted son also, but we're going to focus on Ashley right now, okay? When I was married, I became pregnant many times, but because of some defects in my anatomy, I was never able to carry a child to term. Now, I always wanted children, even long before I married. But when I married, I wanted to build a family. And so I tried time and time again to have a child. But it always ended up in a miscarriage. I think the furthest I ever went was 5.5 months. And it was a little girl, and she was stillborn. And I named her Zoe. It broke my heart. I thought I would not recover. I thought I wouldn't. So I've had several miscarriages. And the last time I was pregnant with twin boys. And I think I carried those little boys to maybe 3.5 months. When I went to the doctor, and the doctor said, you're pregnant with twins, go home and go to bed. That's exactly what I did. But I still miscarried them. So I always wanted a family, and I've always loved children. I always wanted babies. So I began to talk to my husband about adoption. Okay? I had already adopted my son, so we had our son, but I wanted a little girl. Like a dress up, put ribbons in her hair, and curly socks on, and somebody that could identify with me as a female. So that's how I came to meet Ashley. Ashley was 6 months old. Let me get that straight. She was 6 months old when I first saw her. And at that time, I fell in love with her. Now, when my husband and I went to see Ashley, she looked us up and down like, I fell in love with her from the first time I saw her, and she was a baby, 6 months old. And so, I adopted her. Now, my husband and I broke up during the time she was placed in our home, okay? And so I actually adopted Ashley as a single parent. Now, my first son was adopted by my husband and myself. But because my marriage broke up during the course of Ashley's trial period with us, I actually adopted her as a single parent. And she's been in my life ever since. She's been a blessing. Such a blessing. I never thought God would bless me the way he really has. After all of those miscarriages and the heartbreak, and I'm talking to someone out there that has gone through that. You know the heartbreak. You know the disappointment. You know the blame that you can sometimes blame yourself for, why did my body do this? Why did my body not let me carry this? The guilt, the frustration, the hurt, the disappointment. I could go on and on about it. But then God brought Ashley into my life. The little girl I always wanted. Like I said, the little girl I had that I carried 5.5 months, her name was Zoe. She was beautiful. She was beautiful. I didn't see her. My mom and my husband saw her. But I never saw her. I think I was too traumatized and so very young. So that's the story that I have of how God brought Ashley into my life, because he knew I wanted a little girl. And so he sent her. And she's been a real blessing to me. A real blessing. Have we had our problems? Yes, we have. Don't all parents and siblings and children have problems? Sure we do. We all have problems. But it's always come back to the love. The love. See, problems don't drown out love. Not if you don't let them. You work through them. And you keep on loving. And that's what we've done. Right, Ashley?
I agree.
So, that's how Ashley came into my life. I adopted her as a single parent at the age of, by the time the adoption came through, I think Ashley may have been, maybe 10 months old. Such a blessing. I remember, she sees the pictures where I've got her all dressed up like a doll. The frilly socks, the standout dresses, a daughter that I always wanted, but I was not able to really have. So I want to encourage because I know I'm talking to somebody, and I try to encourage people too. See, through my testimony, God lets us have testimonies to encourage somebody else. It's just not all about us. He brings us through to be a testimony to somebody else who needs to hear it. See, it's not just all about me. It's about who I'm talking to also. So I want to encourage you. I want to let you know that regardless of what you've gone through, there's always hope. There's always life. And there's always God. And God is always listening. So, I brought you up to date. Now I'm going to turn it over to Ashley.
Just to kind of recount what my mom was saying, a lot of people are afraid to talk about adoption. At first I was, and I think it was more so of the embarrassment of feeling like I wasn't wanted, trying to figure out, because my mom she did tell me, she always told me, this is the truth, when I was able to understand. So she never withheld any information that I was prepared to receive at that time when I was younger. So as I got older, she would always tell me, when you get older and you're able to understand more, and you have your first child, I'm going to sit you down and give you your paperwork. She said, she never lied about it. And so I had my first daughter at 23 years old. And I remember coming over here one day, and when I sat down, she said, hey, I want to go, give me 1 second. I'm finna go to the room and get something. So she always giving me gifts and stuff. So I'm thinking it was a gift, something I could just put on and, go wear it out or something. So I said, okay. So I sat down, I sat my baby down and everything. And she came back with this manila envelope. And I knew what it was. In my heart, I knew what it was. And she said, I always told you when you had your first child, I felt like you needed to know where you come from, your history, so that your child will know, or you will know anything that's important. So we sat down and I opened up the envelope. I'm scared, but I'm excited at the same time. So I open it up and I see all these different things blotted out, on this transparent paper. So I'm just trying to see in between, like, what can I see? What can I find out about me that I don't know? And so I'm looking. It says the mother's name. It says all her information. And it's like, but it's they blacked it out. And I'm trying to figure out why they blacked it out. But at the end of the day, from just history, finding out some things, it was blacked out because it was a closed adoption due to other circumstances. And so I had some said, hold it up to the light. So I held up to the light and I'm like, let me see what I can find out. I held up to the light and I seen my biological mother's name. So I wrote it down on a piece of paper, and that's all I was interested in. Anything else, I read about it, but I said, no, let me stick with this for right now. And I said, Mom, I see her name. I got her name. And she said, well, look it up. So it was late in the afternoon. And I remember going to look it up on her computer. And I said, okay, now in my spirit, I'm nervous. I got butterflies. And I'm like, well, what if? What if it don't go this way? Or what if it goes left? And I remember something my father taught me. He always told me it can either go left or it can go right. He said, but always be prepared. If it goes wrong, that you still know who loves you and where you come from. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay. And I kept that in my memory as I was looking online. So when I was looking online, I saw 3 of the same names. So I'm sitting there like, okay, God, what do I do? What do I do? Like, I don't want to call the wrong person and make them mad. So some in my spirit said, call the first name. So I called the first name, the first one, and nobody picked up. So I'm like, okay, I'm glad nobody picked up. I just really want to leave a message and just be over with. Let it be over with. So I left a message, and I had stayed the night at my mom's house. So the next day, my mama had to go get some tint on her windows.
I was having my windows tinted on the Chrysler.
The Chrysler 300. Uh-huh. And we were out, and I got a phone call back, and it was the number that I had called. Mm-hmm. And I said, Ma, I said, she calling back. The number calling back. I said, what do I do? She said, answer. And so I said, okay. So I answered the phone, and I hear this sweet lady's voice at the end, and I'm like, hello. And she says, hello. And I said, may I speak to such and such? And she said, this is she. I said, I don't want to be too forward, but can I ask you some questions? And she said, sure. I said, well, my name is Ashley. And I said, I told her my last name. I said, but I also have some other questions. I have some real questions I want to ask you. I said, did you have a daughter who you gave up for adoption? And she answered, she said, yes. And I said, okay. I said, well, was she born on January such and such? She said, yes. I said, okay. I said, well, I also have a picture of a young lady who's standing here, who has short curly hair, and I described the clothes she had on, and another lady that was standing next to her. And she said, yes, that's me, and that's my aunt. I said, well, was your daughter's name Jennifer? And I said the last name. And she said, yes. My mother, they named my daughter after her I think it was the great aunt or somebody. And I said, well, this is she. And I said, when I said it was like a pause. It was a pause on her end. It was a pause on my end. It was like the world just stood still for a moment. And she just screeched. And it was more of a joyful type of screech. It wasn't anything that was an embarrassing moment. It wasn't anything that was a scared moment. It was more so, where are you? Can I see you? And I remember coming across the street with the phone in my hand and my baby carrier in my other arm, and I said, Mama, she wants to meet us. She wants to meet us. And my mama said, I said, here's the phone. So I said, my mom wants to talk to you. And so my mom grabbed the phone and they talked for a few seconds. And next thing I know, we were on the road to go see my biological mom. And I mean, it was so tense. The moments I was riding down the highway, and it was like one of those thoughts that you're like, this person was right next door to me all along. Because I grew up always thinking, you know, what if I'm walking past my sister or my other brother or my biological mom? Would they know who I was? Do I look like them? Because I would always have people to say, oh, I saw this lady look just like you, and this, that, and the fifth. And I was like, in the back of my head, I was like, well, I have my mama already. Because it was a two-way street. It was a two-way feeling that I had growing up. I didn't play about my mama. This is my mama. You know what I'm saying? And I'm her daughter. That's gonna always be. But it was always another side of me that felt like, who am I? You know, who do I belong to? Where did I come from? You know, who do I really, resemble like that? And so when we finally got to the area in which she stayed, and we pulled up, and I was looking at my mom. I was looking at my mom. My mom was looking at me. And the whole time, now I'm not even going to lie, I was like preparing myself for anything. The looks, the act, how they dress, how they, all of this. I'm just like, okay, God, like prepare me. And he did. And the first thing, it was so funny because they're almost the same height. They're both short, and they're both light skin complexion. That was the funniest thing. I said, "Oh, she is a red ball." So her and her husband got out the car, and when she looked at me, all I heard was him say, "Oh my God, she looks just like such and such," which is my sister. And I said, "Whoever it is, I must look just like her," because they just said they thought I was her. But it was one of those moments that I will never ever forget. And I'm sitting here trying not to tear up, but it was one of those moments that was like, it was just, words couldn't explain to have two moms the right way. You know what I'm saying? It was just like unspoken. So I got two moms. I'm blessed to have two mothers, and it's undeniably, one of the realest moments that I can sit here and say, yes, like my mom said, everything has not always been peaches and creams. I gave my mama a run for her money growing up, but God. So my mama stood the test with me. She never gave up on me. And I'm thankful for that. I'm very, very thankful for that, Mama. Thank you so much. I'm still here today to be able to say God has brought me from a mighty, mighty long way. And I'm thankful for my biological mom because she could have given up, in the process because she was very young. And, I will talk about that with my mom on another episode of
That's right, daughter and mother talk. Daughter, I don't want to interrupt you. Go ahead, sweetheart.
So I had this conversation because, like I said, it's been on my heart as far as adoption goes, because you don't really hear people talking about adoption. You don't hear people really saying anymore that they want to do adoptions because they don't know where the child comes from. They don't know the history or the background. And that's true. But it's so many individuals out there who did not make it out the system. They were either killed in the system. And for me to have been blessed to come into a home whether she was a single parent or not. To be able to be brought into a home and never have to be disturbed and removed and moved around, or to grow up into the system, that's a blessing, an enormous blessing that I have to really say. And for those who are wondering about should they adopt, I say do it, because you find so many of us that they don't care about where they come from. They don't care about, even sometimes finding the people, the family. All they want is to be loved at that moment. They want to be cherished. They want somebody to just know that I got you and you're mine. And so to be able to see so many kids in a world that don't have the opportunity that I've had, it's hurtful. And sometimes, I wish I could financially be able to adopt. I've thought about it even before I had 4 daughters, and now I have 4 daughters and a granddaughter, and I don't know what God got planned, but you know what? God said I have enough right now, and I'm gonna agree with Him right there. But adopt a child. You never know who that child may turn out to be. I turned out phenomenal.
She did.
I turned out phenomenal, guys.
She really did.
Not knowing which way I was gonna go one day, but being able to still call my mama on the phone
Always.
is so touching.
Always.
I love it. And then they both get along, and so like my mom, my biological mom, she'll call me. She'll say, "I saw Mary's YouTube channel," and I get so tickled when she laughs at herself. And it's so funny because they both are hilarious. And for me to have that enjoyment in life, and to be 41 years of age, and to be able to say that both my mothers get along, it's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful feeling. So I'm gonna let my mother talk now.
I just want to say that after adopting Ashley as a single parent, because she mentioned her father, after adopting Ashley as a single parent, God brought a wonderful, caring, and loving man into my life. And we married. That was my second husband. That was my husband that passed a few years back. That was Ashley's father. God brought him into our lives, and he embraced my children just like they were his very own. Ashley will attest to that. He loved them. He provided for them. He protected them. He took care of them. He would break his schedule in the evening when I was at work to go and pick them up from the school, from the nursery, to take them to places they needed to go. God blessed me with a wonderful husband that she calls father. And she knows that. He blessed both of my kids. And so I just want to say that her biological mom and I are the best of friends. Because, see, this is how I look at it. Even though I didn't carry Ashley, Ashley was put into my arms as a baby. But had her mom made the decision to abort her, I never would have been blessed like this. So see, I have a bond with her biological mom because she chose to give Ashley life. And in giving Ashley life, it enriched my life beyond, I don't have words to say how much it enriched my life. So see, she chose to carry her, nurture her while she was in her stomach, and give her life. And then I chose to take her. You see what I'm saying? She was put in my arm. So I love her mom. She and I, like I said, are best of friends. We talk, we laugh. We know each other very well because we have Ashley in common. And it's just like I always told her. I'm not one of those people who feel like someone is invading on me. I don't feel that way. I have nothing but gratitude and admiration for her biological mom because, like I said, without her, I never would have had Ashley. You see what I'm saying? I think sometimes it's all in how you look at it. So like I say, we have a wonderful relationship. I told her mom one time, you every bit as much as her mother as I am. Ashley really has two moms. You had a part, and I had a part. And those two parts came together and produced a blessing. And that's how I really feel about it. I really do. And so every time I see her mom, I embrace her. She embraced me. She'll call me for my birthday. I call her for her birthday. She's a wonderful person, you know? And so I'm glad, my daughter know I never lied. I never lied to my son. Because I think you should always tell the truth. Had I was not adopted, but had I been adopted, I would have wanted to know where I came from. That would not have taken away from my mom. Not one little bit. But I would have wanted to know. So I always felt that my children needed to know their origin. Because I think that's important. Maybe it's not important to everybody, but I think it is. And so we're talking about God's blessings here. And we're talking about how God will work things out for you. Because God is always listening. And he's always blessing. And so he has truly, truly, truly blessed me with Ashley, with the love of my daughter that I always wanted. He's truly, truly blessed me. And how he blesses us is all right. You see what I'm saying? However God chooses to bless us, it's all right. And so now I have, through my daughter, 4 granddaughters, because she has 4 beautiful daughters, and a little one. She has a granddaughter. So I'm a great-grandmother. Now, this wouldn't have happened had I not been blessed with her, had not her mom chose to carry her. This wouldn't have happened. All of these blessings, all of these beautiful granddaughters, and now a great-granddaughter who is beautiful. And Ashley does, I met her sisters. Ashley does look like her sister. They're almost like twins. The only thing, Ashley's taller. Same complexion, same eyes. I mean, Ashley brought her over to a Thanksgiving dinner one time. I was over at my brother's house, and I'm like, my God, Ashley, she looks just like, y'all could have been twins.
Yeah, everybody said it.
I'm serious. They look just alike.
Yeah.
Ashley's just a little bit taller.
I got the good part of being tall. I'm sorry.
And her sister's what is she, about my height?
She like 5 foot. I'm teasing. She probably
What is she?
She's about 5'5".
5'5". Well, see, I'm 5'4". I thought she was about my height.
No, 5'5".
Because, see, I actually look up to Ashley. But I don't look up to her sister. We like eye to eye. You know what I'm saying? So, when my daughter came over and she said she wanted some rice pudding. I said, okay, go ahead. And I said, you want some tea? And she said, yes. And I said, let's sit down and drink tea together, have tea time. And then I want to turn on my video camera. And whatever it is, I'm not going to tell you what to talk about. But whatever it is you want to talk about, you talk about it. And as I was sitting here listening to her about the topic she chose, adoption, I know that was nobody but God. It was nobody but God. The topic that she chose, I didn't know the topic. I was prepared for the topic, but I didn't know the topic. And I'm sitting here because, see, this is important to her. What she said, how she shared, the way she feels. This is important to her.
Yeah.
And if it's important to you, it's important to me. So as she was speaking, I was thinking to myself, now this is nobody but God. This is God in this. He's in this. Because not only is she unloading some things that she has felt and she's wanted to talk about, but here's part number 2. She's encouraging somebody from her testimony. And that's what it's all about. Encouraging somebody by your testimony. You see? Because what happens to us, we're not the only ones that happened to. There are tons of folk that the same thing has happened to. So see, it's twofold. It helped her, and it's going to encourage, or it's encouraging somebody right now. And it helps me. I'm speaking to those who have been traumatized by stillborn babies, by miscarriages, by never really being able to carry a child of your own. I give you my testimony. So see, it helps me, and it's helping you. And that's how it works. Will we be honest with each other? Will we have honest conversations? And when we have love. See, love is the binding force. It's the bond that holds us together. Love. Love can conquer so many things. So she and I both miss my husband and her father, and we talk about it. You know, at first I couldn't, and I think she talked about it more. But now I can talk about it. In fact, she called me this morning and she said, Mom, tell her what you said, Ashley. Tell her what you said.
So, I'm now dating this guy who reminds me of my father. And it's been a journey. I mean, it's been a journey with dating these days. But I said, Mom, he remind me of Fred. I said, everything he say remind me of my daddy. And, you know, we can talk about this on another series, but the thing is, they always say that a woman always finds a man that resembles her father. And not only are they from the same state, they kind of almost look alike, which is scary. I don't know how that happened, but they almost look alike. And sometimes you just have to step out your comfort zone. I'm stepping out of my comfort zone as opposed to not going by what I want, as opposed to what I need in a man. And I've been praying about it. I told my mom, I said, I've been praying about it and I've been praying about it. And I want a husband. I don't want a man. I don't want some fling flam. I want a husband. And even though I was scared with some things, I talked to my mama this morning. I said, I'm kind of scared. She said, well, why are you scared? I said, because of the past relationship, I don't want it to reflect on a new relationship with a good man. And she said, well, you got to be straightforward and ask some questions to get some real answers. And I said, yeah. So my mama always, and see, that's why I'm so glad that I still have my mama here, because when I need to really hear some real advice, I can say, let me call my mama. And she gonna give it to me raw and uncut. So, you know, but yeah, it's real in the dating world today. You don't know what you're gonna get. And they also say you never know a person. But I think with that, I'm around so many of my elders that a lot of their stories, they stick with me. So I'm careful. A lot of their prayers stick with me. So I'm protected. So like my mom said, my father taught me a lot of things growing up. So many things that most women and a lot of men don't even know these days. A lot of older men I've come across don't even know certain things that I know. And it's like, wow, okay, I'm so thankful I had a father who taught me about cars. He taught me how to paint them, how to buff them, how to clean them, how to detail them. He taught me about interior decorating, how to design, how to paint, how to build, how to everything, lawn care, maintenance. And he always told me, never rely on a man to do anything that you can do for yourself. And I said, So a lot of things that we typically want a man to do as a woman, we can do them ourselves. You know, we do want a man to do them, but I'm glad that he was there to teach me on the outside to be able to take care of things myself as a woman. So I'm real thankful for that. So yes, I miss him. I do miss him.
Yes, Lord.
I do miss him a lot. I literally think about my dad every day. Like, and I think I told my mom this a while back. I literally think about him every day, and I was talking about him this past weekend and how he had passed and everything. I said it was so abrupt.
Yes,
I said, and it caught us off guard. But you know what? Being able to stick with my mom through all of that, it was a hard ordeal. But being able to stick with her and be patient, I think that was more of the thing my mama needed at that time. Somebody to be patient with her. You know, she wasn't, like she said, she wasn't able to talk about him. She wasn't able to pull pictures out. She wasn't able to go in certain areas for a long time. She was very standoffish when it came to, you know, anything that he loved to do. And my father loved to do everything. He would do everything. And so being able to reflect on him is a big thing to me. So for me to find a man who resembles him, it speaks volume in so many different areas. I'm excited. I don't know what else is going to happen in life, but I'm excited. And I'm glad my moms, with an S, I'm glad that they are here to experience life as I'm growing into it with me. And I'm growing into it with my mom. Learning all of her recipes. Hopefully she'll leave me all of her books and everything. But I love it.
You'll get them.
I love it. I wouldn't change any moments that I've had in my past. I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't change the adoption phase. I just wouldn't change anything. I remember people used to say, well, your mom is older. You have an older mom. And I used to be that child. Like, I wish I had younger parents. They could understand me more. That phase, when I got older, I grew out of it very fast. When I started seeing some of the young parents and stuff, and I was just like, my mama didn't teach me that. I'm glad they taught me the right things. They taught me how to dress appropriately. She taught me so much. So I'm thankful, y'all. But with the adoption, I really wanted to speak on that because somebody needs to be adopted. Somebody needs to be loved the same way I was loved, unconditionally. Somebody needs that person that can really just say, I understand. And I have so many young individuals through my daughters that reach out and talk to me. Sometimes you have parents these days that are jealous of their kids. And I didn't have that. I didn't experience that. But they'll reach out to me and it feels like I'm adopting them. That's what it kind of feels like. I'm adopting these kids, or I'm placed here to be able to say, you know what, I experienced that. I can say I attest to that. I understand where you're coming from. And I can teach them and try to mold them from a distance to say, you know what, this is how you need to look at this, or this is how you need to redirect your thoughts on this. And you know what, they'll call me back and they'll say, they call me Ma Dukes. Ma Dukes, thank you. I needed that. Even if sometimes my kids may get into it with their friends, I don't take sides. I used to. Now, I'm not going to lie now, because I'm real particular about my daughters. But I started looking at the bigger picture as opposed to how I was raised and how I'm able to teach my kids certain things and explain to them certain ways and not to react. Because I still have to call my mom and she's like, hey, don't let that get to you. Don't let that person offend you. Don't be disencouraged by this. And so when I'm able to hear her in my ear and I can reflect that out to somebody else's child, it feels good. And I can say, you know what, my mama told me that. And I can hear. So when I say certain things, they say, "Oh, you sound just like Mary." I say, "Yeah, I get it from my mama." So like I said, somebody adopt somebody. Show them that you care about them. Don't be afraid of the rumors and, oh, well, I don't know how this child is going to act. I don't know if they're going to do this and do that in life. Guess what my mama did? She took me to church every Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And she prayed over me. She prayed over my rooms. She prayed over everything I had on. She prayed over the people I was hanging around. She prayed over the leaves I had to break, the sticks I had to break down. She was a praying mother. So at the end of the day, let God use you. You know, that's all I can say is let God use you. Don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone. And just keep God first in everything you do. And that is tea time with Mary on Boomers Blooming.
And so, friends, we go down this road called life. We're on this journey called life. And I do believe in the heart of things that it's what you make it. It's your attitude. It's how you handle it. But first of all, it's who you serve that brings about a good attitude, that brings about wisdom, that brings about knowledge of how to handle things, how to love, and even sometimes how to let go of things, because we all have to. And so if there's been anyone, which I already know, I'm not going to say if I know, that I have encouraged from my testimony. My daughter, my lovely, beautiful daughter, has encouraged from her testimony. To God be the glory. I don't take any of the credit. To God be the glory. And so I'm going to let you all go. I'm going to post this video. I love you guys.
Love you. Love you,
I
Mama.
love my daughter.
Love you too, Mom.
You all have a great day. Enjoy yourselves. Stay safe. Keep your peace. And like I always say, a lot of times I forget to say it. If you like my content, give me a thumbs up. If you just like me and my vibes and where I come from, and if you just like my daughter too, subscribe to my station. I would appreciate it. It's called Boomers Blooming. People getting better and better. I've gotten better in life. She's gotten better in life. As long as we have God and we know who holds the key to our lives, we bloom and we get better and better and better. Like she said, we've had some rough times. All of us have rough times, But if we hold on, we get better and better and we bloom. You see that flower behind me? You see that? We bloom. We bloom more and more, become more and more beautiful. So, if you would give me a subscription, I would appreciate it. It's absolutely free. It's not going to grab your credit card. It's not going to say, you owe us $100. It's free. And all it does is let you know every time I put out a new video, such as this. I have about 160 something videos out there. Most of my videos are on different topics. You may find some that be a little bit similar, but by and large, they're on different topics. And they're about my life, the things I've learned. I bring a lot of information to you about the things I know about. And I try to bring a lot of encouragement too. Try to bring a lot of encouragement. So guys, we love you. We're going to let you go now. Thank God for you. And I'm going to say goodbye. Love you. And I'm going to see if this clicker won't turn this off. I have a problem with this clicker. It won't. You know what? This clicker got a mind of its own. See there? You don't want to do it now.